There are moments in life when a single decision, a subtle shift in perspective, or a newfound commitment can alter the rhythm of our days and, in turn, the course of our lives. For some, these changes come in a dramatic flash, a career move, a distant journey, or a life-altering event. For others, transformation is found in the quiet, persistent evolution of daily habits. In my case, it was the deliberate reshaping of my daily routine that completely changed my life. It all began with a growing sense of dissatisfaction, a feeling that I was merely drifting through my days, reacting to events rather than shaping them. Each morning seemed to bleed into the next, marked by a hurried rush to prepare for work, a frantic scramble through tasks, and finally, the exhaustion that led me to collapse into bed. I realized I wasn't making time for the things that mattered most to me: my health, my passions, and my personal growth. So I decided to take charge, starting with my routine. The first step was waking up earlier. It sounded simple enough, but for someone accustomed to squeezing every last second out of sleep, it was a challenge. I set my alarm 30 minutes earlier than usual and resolved not to reach for my phone as soon as I woke, and instead, I spent those precious minutes in quiet reflection, easing into the day with intention. Sometimes I would journal, jotting down my thoughts, dreams, and a single goal for the day. Other mornings, I practiced a few minutes of meditation, allowing my mind to settle before the bustle began. That small window of tranquility became my anchor, a reminder that each day was a new opportunity, not just a continuation of the last. Next, I turned my attention to my physical health. I had always admired people who seemed to have boundless energy, who spoke about the invigorating effects of regular exercise. Inspired, I carved out time each morning for movement, sometimes a brisk walk around the neighborhood, sometimes a short yoga routine in my living room. It wasn't about achieving perfection or pushing myself to the limit. It was about honoring my body and setting a positive tone for the hours ahead. Over time, I noticed changes: more energy, better focus, and a deeper sense of well-being. Nutrition was another area that demanded attention. My old routine relied heavily on convenience: quick, processed breakfasts, rushed lunches, and take-out dinners. I realized that what I put into my body directly influenced how I felt and performed each day. So I made a commitment to prepare simple, nourishing meals. I discovered the joy of cooking, of experimenting with fresh fruits and vegetables, of savoring meals at a slower pace. Meal prep became a mindful ritual rather than a chore, and I learned to appreciate the subtle flavors and textures that I'd previously ignored. As my mornings became more structured and intentional, I noticed a ripple effect throughout the rest of my day. I began to approach my work with greater clarity. Rather than reacting to endless notifications and emails, I started to batch similar tasks, focusing on one thing at a time. I scheduled short breaks to stretch, breathe, or simply look out the window, giving my mind a chance to reset. I found that I was not only more productive, but also less stressed. But the most profound change came from dedicating time, every single day, to something that fed my soul. For me, it was reading. I had always loved books, but in the chaos of everyday life, I rarely found the time. I decided to set aside at least 20 minutes each evening to lose myself in a story or immerse myself in a new idea. That quiet time became sacred, a moment to escape, to learn, and to be inspired. Gradually, these small changes began to add up. I became more attuned to the rhythms of my own life, more aware of what energized me and what drained me. I started to say no to commitments that didn't align with my priorities, and yes, to opportunities that excited me. I spent more time with people who uplifted me and less with those who sapped my energy. I learned that self-care wasn't selfish. It was essential. The transformation wasn't always easy. There were days when I slipped back into old habits, when the temptation to snooze the alarm or skip a workout was strong. But instead of judging myself harshly, I learned to practice self-compassion. I understood that change is a journey, not a destination, and that every day offered a new chance to try again. As my routine strengthened, so did my confidence. I found myself tackling challenges with greater resilience, adapting more easily to unexpected changes. I discovered hidden reservoirs of creativity and curiosity. My relationships deepened as I became more present, both with myself and with others. Perhaps the most surprising outcome was the shift in my mindset. By taking control of my routine, I realized that I could take control of my life. I stopped waiting for the right time, the right circumstances, or the right mood. I understood that meaningful change begins with the smallest of actions, repeated with intention. Over time, those actions become habits, and habits become the foundation upon which a fulfilling life is built. Looking back, it's clear that reshaping my daily routine was about more than productivity or discipline. It was about honoring myself and my potential. It was about creating space for growth, for joy, and for connection. It was about recognizing that each day is a blank page and that I have the power to write my own story, one mindful choice at a time. Today, my routine is a living, breathing thing. It evolves with me, adapting to new seasons, challenges, and dreams. It's not about rigid schedules or impossible standards. It's about nurturing the habits that help me thrive. And while the world outside may still be unpredictable, I know that within the gentle structure of my daily routine, I have found a source of stability, purpose, and possibility. A change that truly transform my life.